All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Blitz5, and I hope you guys are doing well. And welcome to episode number 47 of the Final Circle podcast with my co host, Cypher5. In this podcast, we mostly talk about all things PUBG and really video game related. And in this episode, we wanted to focus on the PUBG Esports event, the PGI.S. And right now, they are in week 2 of the event. So we kind of did this as a recap to week 2, but we're also talking about everything leading up to week 2, so week 1 as well, and also kind of an introduction into esports because we know a lot of people, ourselves included, are just kind of getting into esports. Cypher5 has been watching a lot longer than I have. I've been kind of dabbling in a little bit of PUBG esports over the last year, but in 2021, I've decided that I want to get more into it. I'm more interested. I want to watch more. So I've been following this event much more closely than any other ones. I think I've watched all the games so far, at least the end of every single game. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there that we're not professionals and following the esports scene. This is definitely kind of a beginner thing. So if that's more your speed, you might be interested in this. If you haven't watched esports at all, you might be interested in listening to this to try to get into it. And if you are like a seasoned PUBG esports viewer, there might be some kind of basic stuff here. We might have gotten even a few things incorrect here. So please take everything we're saying with a grain of salt. We tried to look up as much information as we could and also check some things on the fly. But basically, we're just getting into this, and I really look forward to covering more of PUBG esports and really, everything PUBG for this year. And just a little bit of our background. We're console players. We occasionally play on PC. Cypher5 and I are both very active in the rank scene. I know console is much different than PC, and playing ranked is much different than playing competitive PUBG for sure. It's just different leagues. But we definitely, have some experience playing PUBG. We've been playing for a long time. And, Cypher5 has been watching a lot of the esports events, so it's kind of decent amount of knowledge there, but obviously we have a lot to learn. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So what should we start with? I just caught up on week 2, the end of week 2, the PGI.S games. I had missed a bunch.
Yeah.
And for anybody listening, we're going to be talking about right now the PGI.S. We're going to start with that. So I was just catching up on it. It's kind of hard because the week 1 I was watching all of the games, and then week 2 I was catching up, and sometimes I don't know if I want to just skip to the end and kind of watch that or watch the whole game. Like I don't really know, and that's one of the tough things with watching the PGI.S is like or any PUBG tournament or really any gaming tournament. It's just the sheer amount of games that they play in any tournament, even League of Legends. Like that's the one thing that like they do such a good job PUBG, but I just don't know how to make it like maybe more accessible for new viewers because it's a lot. It's Monday through Thursday right now are the games, and the stream's like 4 hours long. So that's a lot of content. I guess if you just go to the individual games, it's not 4 hours, but like, what do you do when you watch? Like, if you catch it, you're watching it live, and then when you watch a VOD, do you skip around? Like, how do you watch it when you go through?
I usually, if I watch the VOD, I will skip around, or it depends on what I'm doing. Like, I'll skip around, or I'll, if I'm just sitting around doing like work, I'll just let it play through.
Okay.
Sometimes like the in between stuff is kind of cool, but I mean, for the most part, it's like filler. I don't think everyone's like really watching it, but it's good, like, because it adds comment. The commentary is not bad. For the in between, they go over stuff. They kind of like recap.
Yeah, I don't know all the announcers and stuff like that. I recognize some of them, and I know Clover from Twitter and a few people I recognize. But there's some people that I definitely enjoy listening to more than others. But most of them do a great job, so that is fun.
Yeah.
But I watched some full games, and then I caught up, and then I was basically, for today, which was the final day, I basically just went to the end. I like going, if I'm going to fast forward, I like to go to like where there's 5 minutes left and there's maybe like, 20 players or less. I love that part of the game. Just gets so much fun to see everything at the end and see who's winning. And I should say again that for anybody listening, this is going to be a heavy PGI episode, and I don't want to act like we're PUBG esports professionals or that we follow stuff. Andrew has been following the tournaments way longer than I have. This is actually the first event that I've been watching like almost all of the games in. So I don't know where you want to start. You're an STK fan. You've made me an STK fan because I didn't know who to root for. So I've been following them, and they were the first team to place this week, which was awesome. And I'm looking at the names here. I have a whole bunch of the whole list. Maybe I'll put it on screen for week 2. Then so these teams, if you guys are not familiar, there might be people ranging on like their knowledge of what's going on. So the 16 teams have placed, and then this weekend they're going to fight it out for the winner for the second week.
Yeah. So like people get really confused, and I mean, I think it's a pretty it is like a confusing format, and you know, it started out with the group stages so they can kind of get like the placement, the order of like how they play the survival week. So now we're just like, now it's like the second week we didn't have the group stage, you know, again over the weekend. It was the finals for the top 16, which are the people that won, the 16 teams that won chicken dinners. And then they had the reseeding, which was earlier in the day,
and that was for the last
for the teams that were the
first.
17th through 32nd teams.
Yeah, they were doing the whole like reseed scenario. And so then that kind of changed where people would be placed for week 2. And then just to go over who made it in week 2. So what happens is basically during the week, these teams fight for the chicken dinner. Kills do not matter. And then top 16 teams again play for the weekend. So for this, we have Shoot to Kill was the first team to win and get the chicken dinner. Then number 2 was Team Liquid, then Gen G, Triumphant Song Gaming, Multi-Circle Gaming, Infantry, Afrika Freaks, Attack All Around, 4 Angry Men, Oath, Day Trade, ENCE, Virtus Pro, Bury Ram, Zenith, and Global Esports. And I definitely caught a lot of these like later games. And the teams that are from the North America are Shoot to Kill, Oath made it in, and then the other 2 teams, Sonic, and then what's the last team in the NA?
Zenith.
Did Zenith make it in?
Yeah,
they did make it in. So three of the 4 teams made it in, but Sonic did not make it in, and they're like they're a fan favorite, right? Like for the, I feel like
that's
in
a big
NA.
Yeah, it's a very big fan favorite in NA. They have like the most votes for the Pick'em Challenge week 2, and they didn't even make it.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I kind of want to pull that up right now while we're doing the podcast. I'll probably open up the player on the PUBG and like take a look at everything. So that's kind of interesting, man. And so I'm obviously rooting for SDK, and I like Oath because one of the guys that plays for Oath is from where Andrew and I grew up in Jersey. So definitely like rooting for them as well. But it's kind of fun, man, because again, when you try to get into a new thing like PUBG Esports or any sport, when you watch, it's tough because you don't have like any teams that you root for. But the more you watch, the more you kind of learn about the team. So like I know a lot of people I saw in the comments were writing about like Bury Ram, like they were playing so well in so many games and coming so close to finishing that I started kind of rooting for them. And then eventually they were the 14th team to place. And I don't know if you watched that game, but I just watched it. The guy 1v2'd, I forget who it was. And it was just a 1v2 situation. The guy won and he was so happy. I think he even started crying after the game because he was just so stoked. And like, you might say you might make fun of this guy, but you know, they're trying so hard. These games are so intense. There's not too much money involved in this tournament. There is, but these guys are putting so much work into like not too much of a payout until now. So I honestly think it was you know, it's awesome for these teams to win and get paid and hopefully make some money right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, you know, some of these organizations, like, you know, you have Liquid, Gen G, these are like very big organizations. I don't know how big Burringham United is. I know they're from Thailand, but like some of this is like big money for these guys. And if they're, you know, SDK, they don't have an organization, they don't make a salary, which even if you're from a smaller organization, your salary could be like $100 a week or something. You know what I mean? That could be, you know, what it is.
Yeah.
You know, this is big money that you could take home and like really like life-changing amount of money. So, you know, these guys are playing for, you know, for keeps here. So like, and it, you know, when it gets to that 14th game and you've been playing a bunch of matches and you want to get into the finals where the money is, like, it definitely has to be super stressful, you know what I mean? And like tension and stuff like that. So
oh, dude,
I could get it. Like when you're like, oh my God, dude, like we're in the second place again right now. And we're like, you know what I mean? It's probably just so dude's just like sweating it, like, you know, shaking.
Oh, totally, man. So, I mean, but there's real, I mean, this is, you mean, if people think ranked is intense, this is actually the pro league with real money on the line. So yeah, definitely. That's huge.
Millions of dollars on the line. You know what I mean? Like hundreds of, like, you know, some of these teams like have won, you know, people's salaries for the year already, you know? So
totally. Right now I'm looking at it on PC. Shoot to Kill has the largest amount of the prize pool. They've earned almost $52,000, and then Afrika Freaks has earned $50,000, almost $51,000. So they're pretty much tied there. And then Infantry has earned almost $28,000. And basically how it works, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that during the week, a certain amount of games pay out money. But they're lower prize pool, and then the weekend is when you can make more money by playing well in the weekend, right? And then finishing in the top 4 or I don't know how the exact. I don't know.
So
But
top 4 makes the money. The other, I think they get like a flat fee after 4th place. They get like $2,000 or
oh,
something.
actually, the PC. Sorry to interrupt you. The PC. If you go to the esports tab, it actually shows you. So like the weekly survival, if you're the first one to win, you get $10,000. So I guess that's why SDK probably got a nice little prize.
Yeah, they
And then
got yeah.
yeah, and then and then it scales down to match 8 where you would earn $1,000, and then after match 8 you don't earn anything. And then for the weekly final in week 1, the number 1 team got 25,000, and then it scaled down to 6,000. For week 2, if you come in first this week, it's 50,000. And this is where you were talking about to me. I don't know if it was on the podcast or in person, but it scales up a lot over the weeks, almost to a point where it doesn't make sense. I think you were mentioning this in the last podcast, where week 1 is the first place gets 25, week 2 it's 50, week 3 it's 100, week 4 it's 150. Then week 5 it doubles to 300, and then week 6 it goes to 500,000. So week 1, if you win week 1 25, week 6 500K. That's kind of a crazy jump.
That is a real ridiculous.
But it's awesome to see that some team that wins week 6 is going to get $500,000. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, that is like a legitimate salary for the 4 or 5 players for the year. Obviously taxes or whatever, but they'd probably, if they've won week 6, they've already made probably more money than that too as well, right?
Yeah.
So
really cool. I think a lot of it has to be consistency, right? Like I don't know, maybe it's tough because like someone like SDK or whoever will probably use them a lot as an example, but like if they come in and do top 4 all throughout the tournament or something and you win week 3 but you're always getting in top 4, like you're making a lot of money, but you'll never be dubbed the winner. But like a team that came in and placed 5th, 6th, maybe got 5th or got a 2nd here or there, and then they win week 6. It's just like, dude, Jesus Christ, they weren't the most consistent team in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Like, it could end up being that way. Yeah, true.
Yeah, like you could easily trump out because you won week 6, and it's like, what if you are, technically if you win the first 4 weeks, week 6 and one random team wins week 6, you lose to them, which is just kind of crazy. You know what I mean? You're like, well, technically they're a better team in my opinion that won 4 of the 6 weeks.
You could win the first 4 weeks, and if the team wins week 6, you don't win. You don't. And we should say that the winner of the tournament, we should say, is being calculated by who has won the most money. People. So.
And I think like it's confusing because like your votes, right? Like, so they get a portion of the tickets, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that money like is on top of like, so SDK is that weird amount of money. You know what I mean? It's like 51,625 or something weird. And like,
I see.
Like, so like $26 or something. And I don't know, I guess like the tickets, the coupons you get if you vote for SDK, and they do well, they get that money and it goes on to their prize pool earnings. So like, it's kind of like the people that are, putting in these coupons are actually, helping these teams not only get more money because it's the profit sharing, but it's also like, they're getting, what's the word for it? Like they're getting some like it boosts them in the placements, I guess you could say, as well. You know what I mean? I thought it was just like, hey, here's some extra cash, but it actually helps their placement. It looks like, I guess, I don't know, to be confirmed. I think I'd have to.
I don't know if it does that, but I see what you're saying. The odd amount of money definitely seems like they're getting some kind of other amount from that.
Because like Sonics didn't do well and they have $19,000. They did win. I guess I take that back. They won the group stages. Then they were the first ones out in week 1. So that's 10 grand.
So they got 10 grand right there.
That's 10 grand, but I don't.
They have 19,000, so they only needed 9,000 from something else, I guess.
Yes, but it's a weird amount. But then again, they have all these coupons, votes for them, and they didn't even make it in. And I'm like, who is voting? You know what I mean? They're just like, I got coupon vote. You know what I mean? Like, who's voting for them?
Weren't they like the favorite team though from NA going into this event? So they're just like, they have a lot of hype and people are voting on them. And now it obviously might change in the following weeks depending on how they perform, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they could still come back and do very well, but you don't want to put your coupon on a team that's not even in the running. It's like betting on a horse that's not in a race.
I know. So this week they're not even in the running, so they will most likely drop off this list. But right now Sonics is placed 4, so they're not like they're in a good spot. But you're right, they're not even competing this week, so that's going to be this weekend, I should say. So that's going to be tough, and they didn't earn any money this week.
Yeah, they did not. So I mean, it's tough all around. And I think like it's something to look at, I guess. But if you're voting with your tickets, like you get a free coupon a week. So you could vote. Obviously, like your best bet is to do top 4 team or something like that for your weekly vote. And you could vote for whoever you
Yeah, stuff I
want.
don't know what a top. I
Obviously.
mean, it seems like some of the best teams right now. From just me watching, again, I am an amateur viewer of this stuff right now, but it seems like Shoot to Kills would be maybe up there. Afrika Freaks have been doing like really well in a lot of the games.
Yeah, really well.
Four Angry Men are always pretty good, but they play pretty aggressive sometimes, so they're not always there at the end. Like Oath has played decently well. Gen G, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know all the top teams, but it seems like those teams have been doing like really, really well in a lot of the games.
Yeah.
And even Birdie Ram, dude, they haven't clutched a lot of games, but they're usually like in the top 5. Like every time I'm watching, they're like in the top 5, and then they lose. But they're usually there.
They're very consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very consistent teams. They're very dangerous. I mean, I think like Oath from NA will have a really good week, hopefully. I think like, they'll do well, and the Burrier Army will do well. Genji always does pretty well. You know what I mean? Like that's, they're the former world champions, I guess you could say, from 2019.
How was Team Liquid this year? They play second. Like Team Liquid's usually a pretty good team, right? So
they're consistently up there. But I don't think like they were like first after day 1, and then they just got like hammered day 2 in the weekly finals last week.
Okay.
But, it's kind of stressful because like even just thinking as a viewer, I'm like, oh well, my team can do really well the first 2 weeks, and then you know what I mean. But it's
yeah, it's true.
It kind of makes it fun. It makes it fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Is there a way where you can see like who is the kill leaders and stuff up until this point? I'm trying to see if there's like a because they show after the games like who has the most kills and stuff like that, but I don't know if there's a way to see it like for everybody.
They don't
really
post like anything clean about it. Like if I go to PUBG Esports, like I know SDK is the kill leader in the weekly finals. They won the most kills. That's why last week there was the pick 'em for most kills.
Mm-hmm.
And I voted SDK, and they won. They had the most kills in the weekly finals. So like you got like 200,000
it's awesome.
EP. So but this week it's like the most chicken dinner winners or something like that. So I'm like, I don't know, that's tough. You know what I mean? Afrika Freaks did the most last time, so but it's like you just don't know. You don't know who's gonna win or what. Like it's like such a hard thing to be like pick chicken dinners. It's like 4 a.m. is really good. You know what I mean? They could have easily taken the most kills.
Yeah, they're really good.
Similar play styles.
And what's infantry? I mean, I guess all these teams are really good, but I feel like I always see like infantry and 4AM getting a lot of like crazy slays. And then some guy, I think it was a guy on TSM, had the most kills. I guess it was this morning, like Iro or something. It's like Iron both an H. I don't know how to say it, but TSM was like really struggling today in a lot of games, and then FaZe didn't make it in, right? And then that was a big thing because they're have a lot of hype, and then SDK kind of like attack them in week 1, right, with that drop. So like, and then them not even making it in this week is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a little interesting. I think like I think a lot of these teams, like it's such a different play style. Like typically they have the group stages kind of that would be, like how the first weekend was. You'd have the group stages and they score points, and that's how you would place your top 16. And I think it's good that PUBG, like at first I was like, I don't know if I like this, because like I knew, some teams are just they're not chicken dinner winners kind of teams.
They're just playing more aggressive.
They play for kills.
Yeah.
They play for kills and they fight, and if they make it to the end, but at the end of the day, the game is meant to win a chicken dinner, so I get it why they went with that approach.
Yeah, and like you said, it's good for teams to come back and not like it's good for one team not to like run away with it off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. And this gives a chance to it's a different way to watch the rotations too. Like if you watched group stages every single week, it would get really boring in my opinion. I think this is a nice way to like kind of change it up. So, but like, a lot of like to watch as a viewer, it's good, but as a player, it's probably hell. And I think that a lot of people have said it's hell, and like you can tell like when you look at some of the tweets coming from teams and stuff like that they're just like, I mean, there's all these plausibilities. Like I know someone mentioned like, one game yesterday, if you watch this one, like I think it was TSG or maybe it was the first day, TSG let like a team push into into Oath. They just let them cross the street. They watched them. They didn't shoot a single shot because they knew that if they let that team just walk into Oath, they could just third party and wipe them out. And that's what they did. You know what I mean? It just takes a different strategy. And I feel like some teams do adapt better than others. And maybe there's frustrations, which I get, but it's definitely like, who can adapt to this new thing instead of playing like, hey, like, work harder, not smarter, try to get center circle, find the compounds, you know what I mean? And lock it down. Like that takes a skill. And like, there's definitely some luck involved, but like, if you over a course of time, you're not, the same teams aren't going to make it every single time based off of luck. No one's that lucky. You know what I mean? So
true. You can't always just say luck. I mean, sometimes it is luck when the circle shifts to you at the very end, but you're not going to get that luck every single time. So it's either you're putting yourself in just a really smart position, or rotating really well, but you're not going to get the circle shift like 10 out of 10 times your way. I mean, you could, I suppose, but highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. And, to me, these guys are 100% looking at where like, previous games, where circles have ended, like what compounds are nearby, I mean, stuff like that. They're looking at these things. They're not sitting there and just guessing or just like, hey, this is a center. You know what I mean? They may go a little off center to be like, hey, it's going to pull away from water here. This compound is good to hold. Like, even if it doesn't end up in the last circle, like we would be safe until like, phase 6 or phase 5 or something,
Totally. And I go back to what you said. I get the player frustrations about like the placement stuff and kills not counting. Because it is. I've seen a lot of people tweet like, we got this amount of kills and we didn't even get points or whatever. Obviously, like you said, kind of not adapting. But the thing is, you do need to kill to move forward and stuff like that. So basically, it's kind of like this catch-22, and it's kind of like the opposite of what's happening in ranked on console right now. Because like I said, if you get a chicken dinner with 1 or 2 kills, you can lose points if you're at a high enough rank. And here it's like you could get 20 kills in a match and not even get any points. But so, it would have been nice maybe if they had some kind of way where points counted, but kills counted, but just like very, very low, or like some kind of small thing to give you like a boost or something, right? Like, but again, like you said, I get why they did it. And there's just, people need to understand that like there's going to be weird plays because of that, where they're going to let a team. It's like when you're the last person left on your team, it's like there's a 3v3 and you're the one player. You're going to hope that the other team shoots each other. You're not going to do anything about it, right? Or like in those situations, there's so many times when even in a solo match where like you purposely don't shoot somebody because they're going to do the work for you. It's annoying, but like that happens a lot.
That's strategy though. I think, I think like, there was someone mentioned this, like, when are people going to realize that you need, like, if it's a 2v2 v4, when the 2v2 team up on the 4 squad and wipe them out so they're a better chance. So like, to me, like, that's like, they kind of mentioned how that's like teaming, but in a way, like if you're not communicating or you don't have a predetermined, like, hey, if we're both in the final circle, like, to me, you're not cheating. Like, that's strategy.
It's just strategy, because it's just the numbers. It's a numbers game.
It's just the way it is. You do that when you're playing PUBG. You're like, oh, that solo guy's over there. Like, I want them to, like, they literally will play in ways that forces teams to push into one another so they can third party. Like, that's just the way it is.
I mean,
like,
I love doing that. If there's a solo player or a team of 2 in a ranked match and it's like we're in a triangle with another 4 squad, there's no way I'm shooting those 2 players. I want them to help us shoot the other team. You know what I mean? And take them out. But there is risk reward in that though. Like that can backfire 100%. For you. So,
if you're a team that's sitting there, are you really going to be like, look at a dude on another team and be like, yeah, this is a good idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to shoot at him and he's not going to shoot at me. Like, you don't know if they're like, and you don't even know like 100% of the time if there's 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, unless you like have that information. I'm sure most of the time they do, but dude, they can cheat if they want a team and be malicious. You can do that in a group setting anyway. So if you're like, in the group stages and you're in second place, it's like the opposite of what SDK did to FaZe. It's like if SDK landed with FaZe and let them kill them for more points so they got higher on the board. You know what I mean? That would be teaming in my opinion. And people could do that. You know what I mean? It could look like a hot drop, but or like, there's claims of that when in the OCE group stages, and like PCS2 or something like that. But like,
Oh,
You
really?
know,
Like someone was hot dropping and they like kept dying to a team or something? That's kind of
they were
interesting.
like shooting and like missing them, or like they're like pushing, like showing them teams or something like that. I don't know exactly how it worked out, but there is like claims. But like, I mean, it could be done in any setting. I don't think that this one's unique. I think that this one, it's like you would need to be able to strategize, and that's what literally TSG did. Oh, they saw Virtus Pro. They're like, we're gonna let them push each other because Virtus Pro has to cross this road. Oath has to kill them because they're closer. And as soon as Oath starts shooting at them, we're gonna push up and kill them. And that's
Yeah.
technically, is that teaming? Is that not teaming? And by that definition, I would say it is. The way that, not this like the normal definition of teaming, but like that's strategy. That's not
Yeah, but
what I would
I
say
see,
is
I see what
teaming.
you're saying. Yeah, I think it's strategy too. It gets weird because you're playing again, like I always say, PUBG's weird because a lot of esports that I watch or I've always watched, it's two teams. And like most of the time, if you're watching a sport, it's two teams. It's very rare that you're watching a esport or sport with like however 16 teams, you know?
Yeah,
So
there's none like that.
it gets really weird because you're in situations where there might be five teams like really close to each other, or three teams, and it gets kind of strange when you have to make decisions like that. So it is kind of weird. But you should
Yeah.
also tell people. I forget if we talked about this on the podcast or not. But in other tournaments, you were saying that usually you know this, all that you explained, but like that sometimes there can be a coach that's with them on the microphone, and in this one there's not coaches, and that's kind of changing how they're probably calculating who's on what team. Is that what's
Yeah.
happening in this? Can you explain that a little bit?
So from my understanding, like different regions for PCS in 2020, there's different rule sets. So for North America, the coach could be in their Discord chat, but they had to be muted. So like I'm sure what happens is like for the tournaments, they have a private Discord. PUBG has a private Discord. They have all the teams in their Discord, and someone's probably monitoring it and making sure the coach of whatever team is muted during the game, and when they die, the coach can talk to them.
Okay.
For other regions, EU, the coach is allowed to talk to them the entire time. He's allowed to like walk through with them. So which is kind of weird. I don't know how they do that or how that works.
Maybe spectating
You know
all
what I
the
mean?
players. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess they could technically be, but I guess it's like the honor system. I'm not 100% sure. But the coach can be sitting there keeping track of who's alive on what team, who's, and being their IGL, saying like, you guys need to go here, you should go there. So like really like their focus is only on what they're doing. They're taking direction from someone else. It's like the dude in a boat. You ever seen like the crew rowers or whatever? And like there's always a dude on the front with like a megaphone, like
Yeah. Mhm.
like the coxswain or whatever it's called. He's not really doing anything. He's just telling you to row harder and like right or left or to turn. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much what the coach is doing. You know what I mean? And in this tournament, that's not allowed. I don't even know if the coach is allowed in the Discord at the same time as them. I don't know the rules on that. But so different regions had these different rules. In Europe, if you're coming from Europe, you kind of like crippled yourself, having that allowance of having your coach be your IGL and keeping track of stuff. So these other teams are a little bit more used to being like, hey, I know how many are up on a given team throughout the game. You know what I mean? Because I watched the kill feed, and they watch the kill feed like hawks. You know what I mean? They're like, there's only two up here. You know what I mean? Like, there's only one on. There should only be one up for phase or whatever it is. So
Totally. Something that you brought up that's interesting today off the podcast was that like if you're in a regular ranked match or PUBG match for that matter, you're usually not playing against a clan, so it's really hard for you to tell off the kill feed who's alive and who's dead because you don't know. It's random names A, B, C, D. But in here, because they have the clan tag with them, if you see three SQ guys go down Sonics, like okay, that's three Sonic players, or you might even just recognize their names like Shrimsy and Tickleton. But like you can't really do that exactly. You can't really do that in a regular match unless like you're playing ranked and you recognize like a ranked team that always plays together, something like that potentially. So that's something, like that's something that they probably have to really focus on. But there's so much going on. I wonder how much they can even really remember. Because that would be crazy if they were like really tracking every single team, like if they were allowed to like on a piece of paper or something. But I don't think they're doing that when they're playing, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I've actually looked when they're playing in the PGIS of the cameras and seeing if someone has like a tick mark paper or something that's like, but it's too hard. A kill feed could be going crazy. But I think they do watch it really well enough to know what's going on. Like I think it's just part of the skill, to be honest with you. Because I feel like, if there's 20 alive or like 15 alive, me and you could be like, when you're in rank, you're like, well, it could be 4 teams, 5 teams, it could be 10 teams. We don't know, but they're probably like, it's 6 teams and this is who's, you know what I mean? I think they know, especially in rank, like you could have 10 people alive and still get 7th place or something ridiculous. They know it's like, we have 4 teams here. We need to step it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy watching how different that is from like a regular game or ranked matches, and how in the pro scene how bunched up sometimes the teams are. You ever notice that? Like I was watching today, and it's really crazy how many times like a team is close together, almost on purpose. Like because I think they kind of like group fire at people, in a lot of instances.
They team fire a lot. Yeah.
They definitely do. But then you see these crazy plays where people that clip was getting thrown around from last year, a couple years ago, when a guy hit that crazy nade on a whole team from behind. And
from PGI Berlin or something.
Yeah. And then today there was a clip, a situation where the circle, I think it was ending in like near Georgia Pole apartments, and a guy hit a nade, took out 3 players on dang, I forget what team it was. I have the video up. I might have to go back and find it. And then he did another nade and killed the entire team. And, it's pretty crazy because they're just so bunched up in so many instances. And then you wouldn't really see that, but in console. But these guys, like it's hard to flank, because if you flank, these guys are such great shots. Like you can't really fight like 1v2 a lot of the time. Yeah, you can't really be in the open and do stuff like that. So it's just so different watching, which is tough because, again, when you watch a game, it's fun to watch and then learn stuff. And I definitely do learn a few things here and there from watching the competitive play on PC. But the game is just so much different in that way, which I guess if you play basketball versus NBA, obviously it's going to be pretty different too. But the rank scene is even so much different. And I'm sure the rank scene on console and PC is even so much different than what you see in these games. But I like their playstyle. I think it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the TPP versus FPP too. You know what I mean? Like their field of view is a lot smaller because they're all playing FPP.
Yeah, that's true.
So like you can flank. Like flanking in TPP is a pain in the ass because you have to be like really well hidden because you have such a big field of view.
Yeah.
But but that's also the thing is like you can be flanking and think they don't see you or no one's seeing you and you don't see somebody. So that's the difference. But like if someone's out in the open, dude, you're going down. It's like crazy, and they don't stop shooting. Like there's times where I'm like shooting and I'm hitting the dirt, and they just keep shooting. They're just like a bullet's gonna rick it, like do something. You know what I mean? It's gonna kill them, and you're like, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're right. They do fire a lot of times. Sometimes like at the edge of the hill or the ground. Just I think hoping that maybe they'll get like a shoulder or headshot, like if the guy peeks or something like that.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, just catch the last pixel or something, Yeah,
because they are so fast at peaking. They do those crazy fast peaks on PC, and which to me is like seems like it's faster than on console, just because a lot of players are using B to crouch. Some people are using paddles, but obviously it's a little bit different.
They move way faster.
Yeah, and then it is funny because they are playing, and again, Andrew and I think are both in the same boat where like we like FPP games and we prefer FPP, but on console the state of the game just has always been TPP. And really, I've come to like TPP, but I do understand like if I think esports and really competitive games should be in FPP, so I'm all for that. But
it's difficult to play TPP. It's just like you can't. I don't know. It's just more difficult.
Because you can see so much by not moving behind a tree, and you can lay down and see so much farther over yourself. When when you're in FPP, if you're laying down or behind a rock, you really don't know. Like if you're behind a rock in TPP, people are coming from either direction, but in FPP, you really just don't know.
Yeah.
Until the sound hits, I guess.
I always feel like in FPP, the sounds are louder to me for some reason. But I think it's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost feels that way, but sometimes I feel like you're just focusing on it so much more because it's all you have,
Yeah, that's true.
Because I feel the same way, man. When I play FPP, I feel like the sound is just like I'm so much more focused on sound, but I think it's because it's all like there are sometimes when I'm playing FPP where I'm like not even looking at the screen. I'm kind of like letting my eyes glaze over, and I'm just like focusing so hard for like a footstep or something.
you're like, ugh.
Yeah,
it's definitely different, but I think it's like watching it the level that they play at is insane too. You know, you're watching the barrel shoot with like a 3 times, and like you see it bouncing, you know what I mean? But they're pulling down so hard on the mouse, like, you know what I mean? But you see the recoil.
I know
Is
it looks
insane.
like they have it on like an auto reset, like it's going right back to
Yeah.
like center, like perfectly, you know, and it's pretty crazy to watch that.
Yeah, no, it's just insane to me because you see it just bouncing, but they have it like their muscle memory of dragging the mouse down is just so good.
Yeah.
You know, like that they know how at the pace of which you have to drag it down to keep it in the exact spot. You know,
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I'm
that's
happy.
why they play it like that.
Yeah, I'm happy
With
that
the
I'm
big mouse
finally
pads.
with the big mouse pads for sure, and they just drag it
Yeah,
so far down. I'm
yeah,
happy to finally be catching some of the games and like finally learning some of the teams. And if you're listening and you're like, this, some of this stuff has been like gibberish. It's one of those things where like it's taken me a while to get it like really jump in all the way. But once you just, it's like anything. Like once you kind of start watching, it just picks up a lot more, and you start to understand it a lot more. Like it took like at first I thought the whole placement and thing was confusing, but then once you like look into it a little bit more, it becomes more understanding. And now like I totally get all of that stuff. So I hope that if you're listening, that if you haven't tried watching any of this stuff yet, that you catch it. And this weekend is going to be, there's no games tomorrow, but this weekend will be the big games that are going to be really fun to watch. And what time are those going to be on? In the morning, I guess. It says one day
they're
and 8 hours from
5.
now. So
Yeah, they're 5 a.m. EST, so it's early, dude. It's early for Americans.
okay.
You know, so I think that's like 10 a.m. in London because like I watched it the other day with Mike. Yeah, Mike Mogg used to make fun of me for watching it all the time, and now he's like really into it.
A lot of people in the stream, dude, are watching or said they've seen like different highlights, or they've
Clips.
caught like a video here or a game here and there. So that's good to hear, man.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's different to watch, and it makes you think like how you're playing. It makes me want to play, but I'm like, you can't play rank like how they play. Also, it's like you almost want to play like competitive PUBG just to like experience how they experience it. But you know, it's just not necessarily like A, my skill level is not there, and B, I just don't know how. Like I know console, there's a lot of good like players and everything too, but I just don't know how that formula is. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many good players, and I'm not good enough. So it's like I don't know if I really want to try.
Well,
It'd be cool to try it, but also like probably demoralizing at the same time.
well, you know, in FPP, I feel like it allows you to have a better chance because if you have smart plays, like smart rotations and stuff like that, you can really catch people. Like the angles are even more
Yeah,
detrimental to you. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's always been part of my game is like I'm not the best shot in the planet, but I've always felt like we've had good, like when we play ranked, I've gotten really good at like figuring out the circles and rotations and like getting good angles and flanks and stuff like that. But in TPP, it can just be really hard to do that in FPP.
yeah, no, it's 100% harder. Because like if you're a good shooter in TPP, you're a good shooter in FPP. Do you know what I mean? You're not. That skill doesn't diminish, but I think if you have like a high IQ, it's easier to translate that high IQ to FPP, or you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, in different angles. Some people don't know. I mean, a lot of PUBG players are smart and they know there's a lot of crazy angles in PUBG through different buildings and getting onto roofs and different sight lines and standing on objects. But if you really are into that, then you can take advantage of it a little bit more, which is cool. And
Yeah,
it definitely makes me want to play FPP more. Like I played a bunch on console, and but it's still tough because you know there's a lot of if you guys are PC players out there and you listen to the podcast, you know, PUBG added bots a long time ago, and if you play TPP on console, there's really no bots. Like you know, this is actually funny. I was talking to somebody recently about this, and they were saying that, like, as from a console player, I was like, dude, the bots are like great, man. Like, if you're a new player, you get bots. Like, I never play bots, and they were like, you don't play against bots, and I was like, nah, man, I don't play against bots ever. I rarely see bots anymore. But I guess in TPP, I mean, in North America, whether you're playing TPP or FPP on PC, there's the player base isn't as strong. But so basically, the moral of what I'm trying to say is that FPP on console is really the only place you're going to see some bots. So I tried to play some FPP last week when I was a little frustrated with PUBG and was watching the PGI, and there was a decent amount of humans, but like it was a lot of bots though. You know what I mean? There was probably like 20 to 50 humans each game, and the games where there's only like 20 humans, it was bad. With 80 bots, that's bad. When it's 50-50, it feels pretty much the same because most of the bots and people die off the bat anyway, so it's no big deal. But yeah, when there's only 20 humans, that's not fun.
No, I mean, I think it seems like the FPP and NA kind of pops off at night.
Oh, for
Me
sure.
and Day played one night. There's a lot more games.
Yeah, definitely. It's
We
always
got
been
games
like
pretty
after like
easily,
5 o'clock East
when
Coast
people
time,
are
people are
getting
getting off
on,
from
yeah.
work. It's always like better around then.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I hope more people play it and maybe it shifts. I think like, North America in general has always been like weak at video games. And I think like one, it's because there's like so many sports like baseball, all these other things. Like we're more into like the physical sports, I guess. Not to say that other countries aren't. But I think like we get bored of things really quickly, like compared to other areas. Like Korea, like PUBG is still the biggest thing in the world. And China, it's huge, and Valorant is not as big in those countries, I don't think. So, I don't really know, but I think like it's almost like I feel like America or like NA is just like what's the flavor of the week kind of thing, like it's like the memes. Like remember PUBG had all these memes, then Fortnite came out and has all these memes, and now it's like Warzone has all these memes, and then it's just like what's the next thing gonna be kind of thing, so, and those are fizzling out too. Warzone's fizzling out with all that stuff as well, so you know
Yeah, I feel like
it's like what's gonna be the next one.
I think it's definitely a little bit of that for sure. I think that maybe even be a big part of it. I also wonder if it's something to do with like how PUBG is. I think I don't know if I have no idea if this is true. This is such a wild statement because I really don't know. But I was trying to think about it that like how in the esports the Molotov is gas and I think that's like something to do. I don't know for sure, but something to do with like in Asia or in China they don't want the fire. They'd rather it be gas.
Yeah, they have the gas. Yeah.
And then a lot of times, like Call of Duty had to be altered to like be in some of the Asian countries and in China.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is true, but I think that like America isn't as like we have so much like a lot of military games. Like Call of Duty became really popular, and Counter-Strike, and like PUBG is kind of realistic. And I think that kind of that interest, it seems to interest like a lot of the like Asian cultures. Like they're really into the hardcore game, when like America seems to be moving towards like they love like the cartoony like Fortnite and Minecraft and stuff like that. I don't know if this is true, but it seems to be like that's kind of the trend, because it seems like everyone goes towards that kind of stuff here. And like I talk to so many people that they're like, I don't even really like to play realistic games, but I think because some of that stuff has been like censored in those areas, they like the hardcore like realistic military shooters. But I don't, that's kind of a crazy statement, I guess, 'cause I don't know that for sure.
No, I mean that makes sense too. I don't doubt that. It's just kind of like because I was looking at things, like a lot of teams in NA got rid of CS:GO. Like 100 Thieves let go of their CS:GO team because like they said that the scene was moving to Europe or something like that. I don't really know the details, but they
It's
got
like,
rid of
why
their
would,
CS:GO
yeah, so
team,
interesting. Like, why would Counter-Strike's always been really popular in EU, even when we were younger. So like, why is it more popular in EU? I wonder why.
Brazil and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I'm like, it's still very popular in the US, but it's just not. But the teams aren't that good. So like, to me, when you watch like these teams, these 4 teams from NA go to the PGIS, and 3 or 4 of them have made 2 weeks. 75% of the teams, and then the other.
That's amazing, man. It's so good because
don't have the same ratio. That's like kind of big. Like other, other like organizations should look at this and be like, these guys are doing really well, and there's lots of viewers and stuff like that. And like Shoot to Kill is like no organization, and they're doing extremely well against like the odds are so against them, because some of these guys from Korea are making like probably more money than I do at my job or something playing PUBG. So they have all the utility in the world to do this stuff, and it's like
and a lot bigger sponsors.
Crazy. It's kind of big.
They're sponsored by like Kia and
Kia sponsors a team, Damwon Gaming, which hasn't even made weekly finals yet. It's 2 weeks, I get it, but you're sponsored by a car company. You're getting beat by some dudes that get their T-shirts printed at a company, a third party company.
Amazing.
That don't have a train. One of their dudes lives in Australia, and the rest of them live all wherever. You're getting beat by those guys, which is fine. They're just really good at the game. But that's, I just think it's a big statement, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And honestly, when I watched League of Legends, it was always like, the NA was fun to watch, but they never competed in. They always got blown out pretty much in like the world tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah. 100%. I think like they've been doing better in NA. I feel like, haven't they? I don't know. I have a hard time following it. For a long time, I was like, if they don't have a League of Legends team, I don't think they're a real org. But then I'm like, a lot of teams don't have League of Legends because it was so expensive to get into that.
Yeah. I haven't followed it in like in years. There was one team like Cloud9 was competing pretty well against some of the other countries and continents and stuff like that. But I haven't watched it in so long. But just when I watched it, that was kind of the thing. And so yeah, in any case, it's great that SDK and this the NA teams, you know, as an NA fan, it's you know, it's for being from NA, but obviously I'm rooting that I definitely am getting into following teams from other countries. Doesn't mean you have to root for just teams in your country, but it's obviously a good place to start, I suppose, right? If you're looking for someone to root for off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, if you're from North America, come on, guys.
America. Yeah, but oh, for sure. But I've definitely been trying to follow. Like I saw Day Trade Gaming was placing pretty well, and they were kind of fun to watch. And
there's definitely teams I love watching. 4 a.m. dude, and like 4 a.m. the guy Godv, like he 1v4'd all of SDK one day, and that was like hard to watch because I was like, oh, like it just was like one of those like, oh, dude, like oh, it hurts so bad. You know, but I mean, like beasts, they're awesome to watch. There's so many teams that are really good to watch, you know, that are just like insane.
I want to know what's up with Attack All Around because I don't know much about them. And when they won, it seemed like everyone was like, "Oh, they won!" It was like the weirdest reaction ever.
Yeah,
it ended in a 1v1, and it looked like the other team was going to win. I think it was Day Trade, and then it ended up being Attack All Around. And I had never even really heard of this team yet because again, I'm just getting into all this stuff.
Yeah.
And when they won, it's just the reaction was so funny. Like the camera was showing the other team that lost as the winners, and like it was just really funny. Everyone seemed really confused. But they have a really cool logo though. But
yeah, I like their logo too. I think there's a bunch of teams. It was really funny watching their reaction when they win. They're like, "What the?" Or like when they lose. It's just there was like a. I think I tagged. I didn't tag you in it, but I tagged like Andy and Bits because we were talking about the one team. Ents was like constantly getting second or third place, and they just weren't qualifying. And it was a dude like slamming the desk, and you just see the mouse popping up in the air. But someone put it to like the we will rock you theme song. No. So it's like him just punching the desk like boom boom, boom. Like it's just so funny.
Oh wow, there was one team that almost looked mad when they won, and I forget if it was Virtus Pro or Ents, but some team like even looked like they were like salty when they won because like I don't know what the situation was. I forget who it was. I can't remember because I watched so many games today to catch up before the podcast. I mean, I'd watched a lot of day one, like the whole episode, but then I missed out of day 3 and day 2. So then I was like trying to catch up on the games and stuff today.
I mean, I mean, there's always a sense of like, I mean, it's competition, dude. They're like going for millions of dollars. I would be salty. You know what I mean? I'd be like heated.
And even if you win, like I think what happened is like they went from like it should have been an easy win to like it came down to like a 1v1. So I think they were just like he was mad because it got like so intense when it could have just been a better situation, you know, like easier situation for them.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's how it works though.
PCS and EU. They're a good team too. Like they won PCS EU 2 times. So
is that Ents?
You know, no, Virtus Pro.
Oh, okay, Virtus Pro. Okay, I don't know much about them.
They were called Northern Lights, and then they signed with Virtus Pro.
Okay, I've heard that team before. Okay.
Yeah, they're no joke. They're really good. It's just funny. Yeah, I think there's just like it's so stressful. It's probably like so infuriating and like relieving when you're done. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think it makes great television. You know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah, I like seeing. I like seeing the after, like in listening to them talk a little bit. You know, like sometimes it's being if they don't speak. If they don't speak English or Korean, it's being double translated. So that's pretty tough to follow when they're interviewing them. It's pretty because obviously it's being held in Korea. So everything's in Korean. And then if they speak like Russian or something, so the Korean person is translating to the Russian guy. And then it's being translated to English if you're watching the English stream. So it's being translated twice. And then it's like, it's kind of hard to follow all that stuff. But I get it. Obviously there's so many different, languages attending the event and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is a worldwide tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool. I think it's good. I mean, you're gonna have like people that are salty and be like, "Oh, we have to work for our wins and stuff like that." And people get gifted. There's an equilibrium, dude. You know what I mean? It's not. I just, to me, I don't think like you can't always be gifted, and you don't always have to work for it, in my opinion. I think, what's the old saying? Like, you ever heard the saying, like, measure twice, cut once kind of thing? Like, you always measure something 2 times before you go and cut it with the saw.
Yeah, famous saying.
That's what it is, dude. Like, work, work smarter, not harder. I think there's just ways that you could probably, for the survival, that these teams probably just need to adapt differently. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard because you could definitely tell some teams are just trying to muscle through, and it's just not necessarily the way to win it, maybe. But I'm not a pro. I don't really know. But you could just tell that there's like that frustration there for sure. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just like anything. When we play ranked, like there's times when you win, we've won like so many games in a row or have a good win percentage. And like, obviously we're, over the entire course of ranked I know it's way different than playing pro, but like in the entire ranked, the rank's been around, we probably average like a 40% win rate in ranked from the first season to now. And that's not because we just get lucky every single time. You know what I mean? It's like you're like rotating, like you're not just getting the circle every single time. And just because you got the circle, you put yourself kind of in, you don't know exactly where the circle is going to go, but a lot of times those teams put themselves in a good spot, knowing like the odds of the circle and how circles kind of, go at the end. But that being said, I wish there was less hardships at the very end. That shouldn't really be a thing, but I haven't seen too many crazy hardships at the very end of the game. Sometimes in like obviously mid game that happens, but I haven't seen too many like really, really crazy ones.
Yeah, the super settings, they're using the same circles for PGIS as you do in rank, so they're getting the same shifts, and it does do some hard, funky things towards the end, which kind of sucks. But it just makes it more interesting. I'm sure they'll change it again. I mean, it's probably one of those things that every couple of years or every year they change, and it just to throw people off a little bit, because after a while it does get predictable. Not predictable, I would say, but it does kind of like need a revamping. Yeah, like, nothing is truly random. You know what I mean? So after a while, you kind of know the hints and things, or you just find a good spot that you could play anywhere. But there's always going to be the time where you get a chicken dinner and you look at the PUBG lookup, and like your team has like 3 kills and the team got second had like 15. There's always those instances, dude. That always happens. There's always those times. So
100%, man, 100%. So true. And especially when you're fighting that much, you could be lower on utility. You could be your gear could be more damaged. So like you're already putting yourself kind of a bigger risk, and that's huge in these things. If you don't have utility at the end, you're in such a tough spot, especially in any game, but in the pro games and PGI.S, like you are definitely in a tough spot if you don't have any utility.
Oh yeah, they're carrying like I think in the end circle they're probably dropping ammo and just picking up grenades. You know what I mean? They're just they don't, because if there's only like 8 people left, you don't need a ton of ammo. You need throwables. You need to be able to like throw stuff, and
totally
that's where that is. Like you see these guys just throwables. It's insane.
Let me ask you, this is really random, kind of off topic, but not off topic, but talking about like the PGI watching and luck and stuff like this. So it kind of goes in hand with that. So I've already probably watched more games in the last 2 weeks than I've ever watched of PUBG Esports. Like I've watched a lot. Like I even was kind of, because sometimes I was watching when I was working out, I was putting on like even from the intro, just listening to the announcers talk. Sometimes they talk like an hour before the game. And I was just like letting it roll, and because I was working out or whatever. So I've never even like watched some of all that stuff. So I've definitely watched like probably the most hours of esports that I've ever watched. And one thing is, from a spectator standpoint, that it's kind of like when I watch League of Legends or even maybe Call of Duty, like when they played on the same map over and over again, or Call of Duty shifted maps, so League of Legends on the same map every single time. And like when you watch, you'd be like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Like they took this route, or they did this thing. But because PUBG and Battle Royale, the circle's different every single time, it's kind of hard to like, they're never really in the same spot twice is what I'm trying to say. And it's kind of hard to pick up like it's kind of hard to learn from their rotation because you might not ever see that exact circle in your game. You know what I mean? Or that exact situation because the teams are all over the place. And I think that's just the nature of PUBG, kind of like the issue with
Yeah.
sometimes there's going to be teams that let each other like move or kind of like you said, quote unquote team to help themselves strategically. But it almost like I was thinking to myself, like, how could they make that better? I was thinking, like, while I was cooking dinner and I was watching the game, like, could they make the circle go to the same spot every time? I mean, that would probably be boring. But like, I was trying to think. I don't think there's a solution for it, but there is
Yeah.
something that is kind of a bummer about that esports makes the game so less random, but that the circle is so random still. So that is, like in most esports, there's not a lot of they take the randomness out. Like in this game, they've taken in esports, they've taken there's no vehicle randomness. There's static spawns. The loot is insane. So really, there's no randomness. And like, I got a shitty gun this time, and I couldn't play.
Yeah.
Like these guys aren't running around stuck with an Uzi. But the last thing that's random is the circle, which is core of battle royale. But you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. Like, I'm not saying it should change, but I was trying to think.
Yeah.
Like, I want it to be more friendly for viewers. And I want people to watch it. I was trying to think like what, because I feel like PUBG is just missing like one little thing to make it easier to watch. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it can be hard to like follow. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's tough to say. I did like the settings when it was in PCS, but I feel like it kind of does get a little bit stale. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, all the other like they did take a lot of randomness out,
They did.
which
They
is kind
yeah.
of funny because like you need to take it out. Even even COD did take out stuff like that could create randomness because they have like gentlemen's agreements that you can't use certain things or you know what I mean.
Totally, because they're trying to make it
Certain
a level playing field, which is good and bad. But like the circle thing, like I was thinking, imagine if it was the same circle every single time.
Oh, it'd be terrible. I think.
Yeah, it could be, but it could be like that it's going to be ending here. So like, yeah, I guess that would be kind of weird. It would be kind of weird. I guess that'd be
Yeah,
kind of
because
bad.
a team would rush a compound or something, and
Yeah,
just if they could hold it, they
yeah,
have
and
a
then
high probability of winning.
yeah, and then nobody would land like really far away. So like that would
You'd
happen.
probably have shorter games, and all the action would be up front, probably. It'd be
Yeah.
like the opposite of what it is now. It's always funny to me when you see the map, like you see like the circle shift, and all of a sudden you see all the dots getting into the cars.
Yeah.
It's like you want to like play the clown music, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
like,
for
oh
the next
shit.
5 minutes, it's just teams driving everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's so
like
true.
just ripping it.
Yeah.
You're
I mean,
like, oh,
that
God.
does, like you said, that does make the game fun. It's just, I want it, you want the game to be like easier to people watch. You learn something. So like,
Yeah.
they already do a great job of the cameras. They do a great job of switching to the map, to the individual teams, to the players.
Yeah.
But
No, it's definitely good. I think overall the production of it has been great, and the PCSs were great. And I think that's why they're continuing to do PCS, not only because COVID is still a thing, but it's kind of like it's definitely like it was a successful formula. So maybe they kind of keep it going for now until they figure something else out using the PCS formula.
yeah,
So they'll have PCS4, PCS5, and then PGC in November, which would be pretty cool. So that I don't think they don't have where that's going to be located. I guess they have to kind of play that by ear too, just because of COVID and everything. So
yeah.
hopefully by then though things are fairly normal where you can have everyone in person and fans. That'd be kind of cool to have that element back, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said, I would love to eventually go to one of these things in person because it's so much fun to be in person. And it's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a lot more fun than you would think, people listening, attending these things in person because, there's the crowd reaction to some of the crazy kills and there's a lot of hype built up, like during the rotations and the crowd, people get going and start screaming and stuff. So it gets pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like you think about like you're talking about the hard circle shifts. It's like I could imagine being in live and like sometimes you like in a live setting and you're there watching like when the circle shifts hard, everyone just being like, oh,
Yeah, like, oh,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
because I watch it, I'm just like, oh, dude, like that sucks. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not good. So that maybe the randomness is kind of does give an interesting, back like something interesting to kind of like wait for. You're like watching the blue, you're like, oh shit, like come on, don't go to whoever, go to my team or whatever, whoever I have them in the pick 'em
Yeah.
at that moment. Like, give me some points here, give me the EP so I could buy all the shit.
And I wonder if they have the same reaction like as we do as casual players and ranked players. Like, you're like, please don't hard shift, please don't hard shift. And it does, you're like, oh, F,
Yeah,
like
there's definitely so many people
yeah,
F-bombs.
totally. You gotta. It sucks when that happens. And then obviously when it drops on you, it feels great.
Oh, 100%. It's probably like they probably have to mute all the microphones in there just in case, because someone's probably just sitting there just like, fuck.
Yeah, I definitely hope they get more. I mean, maybe I just haven't seen it yet, but I definitely hope to see more stuff about like the teams and the players and stuff like that. But one of the things I've noticed, I don't know about with PUBG, but and I think this is kind of the case because people were unsure of the future of PUBG Esports, is that sometimes with these teams, it's hard. Like they usually don't have like the teams will switch for year after year a lot. I don't know if that's happened a lot so far, but it seems like with esports, it's pretty like teams are changing a lot because it's not like they're on like really formal contracts. Some of them, right? I don't know. I'm not sure. I obviously haven't followed it before, so I wouldn't know.
For what now?
I was saying for like what's tough with esports is that like a lot of times the players aren't very like the players might leave a team. Like the players come and go really fast. Like in League of Legends, there were some teams that had like the same players, but sometimes every year there'd be like different players. The kids are like young, so some people like don't compete in all the tournaments because they're like, some of them are 18 years old or whatever, and they're like going to college. And I don't know. So I'm just trying to say from like a fan standpoint, like I want to learn more about the players. I hope to see more stuff like that because to me that helps you get into the esports more. It's like knowing the players, getting attached to like an organization or trying to follow, like even like just having you being into STK helped me get into it because then I was following STK. I'm rooting for them to win. Then I have more at stake, like watching it,
Yeah, it makes you tied more into the game, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like football. If you don't have a team, it's harder to cheer for, kind of thing. Like I don't really care anymore about football, but when you were cheering for the Bucks, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cheer for the Bucks. You know what I mean? It makes me more excited.
And I'm saying, and the next level of that is kind of knowing some of the players. So like some of these guys like Shrimsy are super famous, but having more players like that are recognizable or maybe like promoted. I guess like PUBG should do maybe a better job like promoting some of the players, because it helps you get into it a little bit more when you know the players. I really only know some of the North American players really, but I guess it's tough because it's global.
Yeah, I know some of the European. I guess I know some of the. I guess I know a lot because I watch a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So you know more. I guess I don't know that many, but I'm
I don't
learning.
know their real names, but like I know their
in-game usernames, of course. Yeah.
But the thing is, the problem with like esports in general is that like you can go from playing PUBG to CS:GO to like what I mean. Like that's the like no other sport. It's not like most people are going from. That's kind of what soccer this year.
That's kind of what I was saying. Like it's really easy for people to leave a team, not play a different game. It's
completely
like really
different game. Yeah, a lot of people went to Valorant this year, so
that's what I was kind of saying. It's hard to track because like people are going all over the place, so you might not even see some of these guys next year playing PUBG.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I guess that happens in pro sports as well.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a thing. I mean. We'll see. I mean, it's hard because like with orgs the way they are in esports, they're just not consistent like an NFL team is, right? Like,
yeah, it's just completely different.
Orgs, there's orgs that I guess have had the same teams, but some of them like drop the players real quick, or they just like, hey, there's a tournament coming up, we're gonna pick up a team, and then after the tournament's done, they drop the team. You know what I mean? So
I see.
It's kind of hard. Like I think like even in NA, like the Sonics is like a very consistent org with their team, but they're not a big organization by any stretch of the imagination. But they're big enough. But I think like teams like SDK that like at some point like they want to get signed by an org, I'm sure. But like if they could win all of these matches, like they do really well and walk away with $500,000 or whatever it is in prize money, dude. Like I would say take that money and settle your finances, like do the right things, and then like invest in yourselves. And like maybe the best thing for you would be start your own organization. You know what I mean? Like get something lined up, like, and do that.
Dude, let's crowdfund SDK.
Yeah,
crowdfund.
Dude, you just need some savvy business person. You know what I mean? Like Roaring Kitty from YouTube or something to just invest that money, and then all of a sudden SDK would be an organization. I mean, it doesn't, you just need to get sponsorships and stuff, but I think like if you have the money to start it, like that's really the hardest part is getting the money to start it.
Yeah.
And it depends on how hard you want to work to make it grow.
Yeah.
Any business, it's any other business.
I'm Googling, does SDK even have a website or anything like that? Probably not.
No, I know. I was gonna be like, dude, do you guys want me to make you a website? But
how did you even get one of their jerseys?
It's on their Twitter. Sector 6 built those are jerseys.
Okay, I'll have to
Sector
follow
6
them.
does a lot of jerseys. So yeah, if you go to their Twitter,
Do they have an
like,
SDK 6. Twitter, or they're just individuals?
Yeah, it's Shoot to Kill PUBG.
Okay, I'll drop them a follow.
I'll tag it when it comes out. They have like Sector 6 apparel. I think a bunch of teams do use that website actually. Yeah, I have a link to it.
That's cool. About to make my own Blitz 5 jersey.
Yeah, you can make your own name. I mean, I know Sonics have jerseys. I was gonna start collecting them. I know Andy's been collecting them. It's kind of a fun thing. It's funny because I think I washed my something happened. The thread pulled on my on the jersey I have. So I was like, oh, it's starting to like fall apart because I think I did something wrong washing it.
Did you put your gamer tag on the back, or what did you do? Or one of theirs? Okay.
I put mine. I feel like it was weird if I put one of theirs.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure because I didn't know you picked it. It'd be cool to
have all of theirs, and I would you would frame them. It would be kind of cool to have, I guess, but I wouldn't like wear it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's like, oh,
well, because I was gonna say, no, I wasn't sure because I was like, they're probably just they might not even be on the team, so it's like pretty dedicated to do that.
Yeah, it's not like getting a Tom Brady Bucks jersey. You know, he might be there a while, or a Patriot jersey.
Yeah, exactly. But this is a lot different. So I like the sweatshirt they have here. It's pretty cool. But
I got the sweatshirt. It's awesomely warm. It's like really thin. It feels like almost like a wetsuit material on the outside, but it's really freaking warm. I was wearing it outside the shovel snow. It's nice. Yeah,
it does look like kind of an interesting material from the image here.
It's very weird, but it's honestly, when I got it, I pulled it out of the bag. I was like, this is strange. But then I wore it and I was like, I like this, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool too because really, you're kind of helping like crowdfund what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's like anything, supporting any streamer or anything. Yeah, exactly.
Thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it goes. I don't. They may not make any money off of it, but it's something. I hope
so. Sure. I hope they make something off it.
Yeah, I mean, something is something, right? The thing is with Sector 6 is they're slow as shit with shipping stuff out. I think I ordered this sweatshirt on Black Friday, and then I think I got it the day before Christmas.
Okay. Maybe a lot of demand, or maybe it's slow. Yeah, who knows?
They're slow. I mean, they do a good job on them, so I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's very good quality. It has to be a good business model. We should ask Tom how they make shirts like that. How they make the jerseys.
Yeah, I wonder, on a 1-by-1 basis. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Bravo Zulu. Get Bravo Zulu.
He might know a little bit about it. Yeah, but
I don't know how it works.
Dude, I'm excited for this weekend. I'm just gonna figure out I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, it's kind of fun. You said you watched with Andy today the games over this week, right? So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, we watched yesterday. Yeah, it was definitely fun to do because usually I'm watching him on the couch by myself. And I'm cursing the game. It's funny because I've gotten to the point where I'm like, this game, this, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my god, I'm not playing right now, dude. Calm down.
Dude, it's funny though because as a longtime PUBG player, that's so funny you say that because there were some moments where I was like, I know that guy is cursing about PUBG right now because he got stuck and I couldn't move, and I'm like, oh my god, he's probably so mad about the game right now. He is. It's
when you start getting really into it, you're saying the same shit as if you're playing. You're like, why is no one shooting at anyone else? You're like, what the hell is happening here? You can see them all on the map. But it's definitely fun, especially in the group. It's like, okay, we were just shooting the shit, and I was making breakfast and stuff. So I think if I get up, I don't think I'll be up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
I usually get up. If my dog, it depends on when the dog wakes me up. I might just stay up because she gets up pretty early. So if she gets up at 5:30, I'll get up and stay up and watch the games.
Yeah.
It'll be fun, as the time goes on to watch them because they get really intense. But it's fun to watch them. It made my mood last week. When I got, when they won kills and stuff like that, I got second place. I was in such a good mood on Sunday until I found our dog had diarrhea all over the place. And I was not in a great mood. I was after that, I was back to I was back to normal levels of mood,
That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah. I was cleaning it and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I got I can go get the M4 skin and all this stuff I was gonna buy with the EP, and then I walk in and I was like, dude, the dog had diarrhea all over this
Oh
fucking
my
bed.
God, dude. That's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is exciting.
Well.
Maybe I wonder if I should. That'd be maybe fun to like turn it on. I'll check with the. I know in the past for the PCS, you're allowed to stream it, but I'm not sure about this one.
So many people are restreaming this stuff.
Oh, really?
Can't imagine it.
Okay.
There's so many people. It's like I go on and I'm watching and I'm like, oh, this guy's streaming right now. It's like watching PGIS. Like
Oh, okay.
a lot of the guys that won, like were out. Like some of the guys that were already qualified were watching the other games and stuff like that. So.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think they. I mean, as long as you're watching, right? It's still viewership that's counting to the overall PUBG universe, right?
Totally. Yeah. Exactly. Especially if you're looking at like just Twitch numbers. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, and they give out codes and stuff too. So that's why a lot of people play.
Yeah.
Or watch. Sorry,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you want to do it, I'll be around.
All right, man. I mean, I'll think. I guess you could tune in at like 6 or 7, and then there's still a couple hours left, right? If you were to turn it on.
Usually they only get. I think like the way the games run, like if it starts at 5 a.m., it's not like the first game is going off at 5 a.m.
Oh, true. Usually there's a pretty long intro.
There's like a 15, 20-minute narrative, like intro, and they go over all the teams playing, like, highlights of the week, how they did the week before, they'll probably do. So it'll be like 20 minutes of that, then a game. So by 6 a.m., it's probably they've only probably played like one game.
Yeah, literally. I'm looking 1 hour into the broadcast last time. They're in the second game. They're just starting the second game an hour and 15 in to the broadcast.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, because then they have a break in between. Because I know like players have said like they're there for hours, like when they're playing a couple games. So
yeah,
but I mean, whatever. What are you gonna do anyway? Go sit in your hotel and fucking.
You can't really do anything.
Play PUBG in your hotel room, like. You know what I mean? Like, wait, you go home back to your room and play PUBG anyway. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I wonder if they like warm up in training mode or something, or team deathmatch or something beforehand.
Yeah, they definitely. Oh yeah, they definitely play a lot of team deathmatch and stuff like that.
Yeah, to help warm up.
Yeah, they definitely.
Especially with the big break in between games and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably playing around. I don't know, but the thing is, if they're probably on a special server. I don't think they're on like any.
Yeah, maybe they're just playing each other server. Or something. Just shooting the gun. Honestly, at just a person in the game helps. Warm me up a lot. So.
Yeah, I don't know what I know. There's maybe, I guess because it's not like a full LAN, they're probably connected to maybe a regular server. I don't know how that works.
Oh, and before we wrap this up, because I guess we've covered like a lot of stuff. They're all, a lot of them are there, but there are a couple teams. Is it the do you know what teams aren't there? I forget what it is. Is it
Chinese teams and the Chinese Taipei teams are not there.
Okay. Has there been any like controversy about like any kind of weird like lag with that? I mean, they're not that far away in South Korea compared to like the US or anything like that.
Not that I've heard.
Okay.
I haven't heard anyone say anything. I can't imagine they have that bad of ping. They're not that far, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and maybe they got a special server that was more centralized so that basically like made them have a good amount of ping. So.
Yeah. One thing before we wrap this up is kind of funny. I guess you can search the PGIS hashtag. Something that I've been kind of realizing with PUBG that I feel like kind of hurts them on PC and console and just like the core version of the game is that nowadays, like when you Google a game or like say you type in Warzone or Fortnite, that like pops up. But when you like type in PUBG on social media or in any real browser, like if you go into Amazon and I was on Amazon, I was like, what does Amazon have anything PUBG related? And you type in PUBG, everything is mobile. And I almost feel like that's kind of like a disservice to PUBG because like I just searched PUBG to see like what was going on with esports and it's all mobile stuff and then you have to type in PGIS obviously I guess to get more of like a calculated thing, but mobile has taken over PUBG so much that it's like really hard to kind of find like that hashtag is basically a mobile hashtag at this point. You know what I'm saying? It almost help if like mobile had a different name in a way, like PUBG Mobile Ground or something, and it was like PUMG, and like PUBG with the regular game was PUBG because it gets, because with Call of Duty, like you can just type Warzone and it's all Warzone. It's not like Call of Duty Mobile pops up everywhere.
Oh really?
I don't know. Anyways, it's just a random thought, but I was just thinking about that because it's kind of hard. If you're searching for YouTube stuff, it's really hard to just find straight up PUBG content when because mobile is obviously such a different thing, you know. But just my ending thought for the day. It's kind of random, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, because I'm typing PUBG into
that?
YouTube. This everywhere. When you type in PUBG anywhere, PUBG Mobile pops up because PUBG Mobile is bigger than PUBG. You know, really. So like, if you're on Twitter or YouTube or social media and you type in PUBG or check the PUBG hashtag, it's all mobile stuff. You know what I mean? So if you check the PUBG hashtag, it's not esports stuff or like what's going on in PUBG. It's literally just all mobile, like crazy skins and all mobile.
Yeah.
It's all that stuff.
I mean,
man.
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they have. It makes sense that the mobile's bigger though too.
Yeah, I was just saying it'd be nice if there was a better way to separate it out. Like if PUBG 2 became a thing, it would be nice because then when you search PUBG 2, you would know you're just getting like the PC and console version of the game. And I feel like the hashtag would be more applicable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's right now you're getting a whole bunch of garbage.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyways, if you're looking for information, PUBG Esports has social media platforms. You can just follow PUBG Esports. The website's not that great, so I would just recommend following PUBG Esports. You can follow PUBG Esports on Twitch or on YouTube. I oftentimes like to watch on YouTube, but I'm gonna try to maybe watch on Twitch more often.
Yeah, I have like when I watch on YouTube, I feel like there's degradation in the quality of the stream. Like I always have that issue with YouTube when you're streaming with other people. Like I feel like YouTube is just like Dr. Disrespect. When he first started streaming, I felt like the quality would be up and down. So I always watch on Twitch. I just feel like the quality is usually better. I feel like YouTube just like throttles people and chooses who they want to prioritize so much.
Yeah, the compression on YouTube is really bad. They compress the video a lot because they just have so much content on there. But for me right now, I agree with you. The quality is worse, so maybe I'll watch more on Twitch. But a lot of times I have YouTube Premium, so the application and like doing other stuff while watching, like Twitch.
Oh yeah.
For iPhone, Twitch is added where like if you want to send a text, like the video stays there. But like what's great about YouTube is you can actually like close out of YouTube completely and the audio keeps playing, and then do whatever you want on your phone. Like you could be on Twitter on texting and then go back to YouTube. The YouTube app seems to be better right now.
You can do that with Twitch now.
You can, but the video still stays in the corner, and sometimes, like for me,
you can collapse it.
Okay, sometimes it freezes for me. Like I always feel like I like screw it up, and like it's like.
Is your iPhone older, maybe, or?
I don't. I feel like it's relatively up to date. I have like either I think I have the 11 or maybe the 10.
Yeah, I got.
But it's just like
I haven't had any issues, but I don't like do that a lot. Usually, I'm watching on like I have a Fire tablet that I watch on, and Twitch works better than YouTube on a Fire tablet. Duh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I need I almost want something like that to watch the games because sometimes even on the phone it's a little small because especially when they're looking at the map and stuff for PUBG. It's kind of small, just like on a phone. And
no, the tablet is great, and it's like my sister got it for me for Christmas, but they're not like expensive. It's like a cheaper iPad, so it's like perfect.
Yeah, actually my wife has one, so I'll just go steal hers and watch. The tablet. But all right, dude. I think we kind of covered everything, right? Do you want anything else you want to like add on this with the PGI or PUBG? I mean, this was mostly a esports episode, but I think that's fine because we've been talking about pretty much the same stuff, like with PUBG 2, the rumors, nothing too new has come out that way. We're still just waiting. The console update is next week, allegedly, unless it gets delayed again. So that would be February 23rd. And yeah, we're just waiting to hear from PUBG. I think, PUBG is probably really busy working on the content for the rest of 2021 and also the PGI and other things that are going on. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, man.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll hear something soon.
Yeah. And hopefully another good year for PUBG. But right now it's definitely kind of weird, man. PUBG's been super quiet. And I think a lot of people are, really curious to see and are getting their hopes up. So I hope that PUBG doesn't, I don't know if all this stuff's going to be true, but I hope that it's something good, at least something, at
least something
big time, because people have their hopes up a lot, unfortunately. And it's not great because it's not always the best to do that. But all right, if you guys made it this far, really appreciate it.
Yes.
I think this is episode like 48. And again, you can catch us on iTunes or on YouTube to listen to the podcast. And you can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Blitz5 and friends. Let's go.
Friends.
And yeah, maybe I'll be streaming that this weekend. And if not, just be sticking to the regular stream schedule, and hopefully we'll be following this stuff. This is definitely something great that we can talk about, if not weekly, like bi-weekly for the podcast. So again, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks for joining us in the final circle.
Of course.
Later.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend, and go STK.
Oh.
Later, everybody. Peace.